Hello and welcome to Gun Theory. Today we're taking a look at Rainbow Six Siege. More specifically, we're looking at the Desert Eagle in use by the Navy SEALs in this game. We'll be judging the Desert Eagle on three major categories. 1. Appearance. Does it look like the real thing? 2. Performance. How does it perform as compared to the real Desert Eagle? 3. General circumstances. Does it make sense that the Navy SEALs would be using this handgun? Alright, let's jump right into appearance. So surprisingly, this handgun looks very close to the real Desert Eagle. You'll notice that it says Made in Israel on the right side of the slide, which is accurate. And interestingly enough, I don't think they actually got the license to use the name Desert Eagle, as evidenced by the name D-50. But also, you'll see on the grip panels here, there's a little logo that's kind of blurred out. That looks almost exactly like a mirrored and blurred version of the Magnum Research logo, which would be exactly in that place on the real Desert Eagle. But to have the logo there would mean they had to have licensed it. And as we look at the sights, we'll find the only major complaint for this handgun in appearance. It looks like neon paint was used to color the front and rear sights. So the stock iron sights for the Desert Eagle look exactly like these, except there's no paint. It looks like they tried to make a hybrid between the standard sights and some of the aftermarket sights. So we're definitely going to have to take off a few points here. Overall though, they did really good in the appearance category. I was pleasantly surprised. Alright, now for performance. As we look at the recoil, we can see that it has a very sharp recoil impulse. This handgun, in real life and in the game, is chambered for .50 caliber Action Express, which is an incredibly strong pistol cartridge. So the recoil checks out before adding a compensator. With the compensator, we can see it drastically reduces the recoil. But is that really accurate? Let's take a look at some footage of my own experience with this handgun. We can see that even with a compensator in real life, it does still have a bit of a sharp recoil impulse, but it becomes surprisingly controllable considering what the recoil is like before you add the compensator. Alright, so far so good in performance, it's checking out rather well. How's the damage? So after looking at a bunch of the enemy terrorists, we can see that they're most likely wearing something like level 3 or 3+ body armor, which 50 AE will almost never penetrate on the first round, unless the armor is defective in some way. The likelihood of your second round penetrating is still rather slim, even if you land in the same spot. It's just not very good at penetrating level 3 body armor. But causing a person to be incapacitated via gunfire doesn't necessarily require that bullet to penetrate into the target's body. So the 50 AE cartridge out of a 5 or 6 inch barrel like we would see on a Desert Eagle, that causes severe damage to most level 3 body armor. Enough that if you were to be shot a single time with the armor on, it would break your ribs and even your sternum if the bullet landed on top of your sternum. In this case, the key to incapacitating the enemy is by transferring an extreme amount of energy through that vest and into their chest very quickly in a very short time period. Luckily for the Desert Eagle, you can expect something like 1,600 foot-pounds of muzzle energy, and since we're basically shooting at point blank in this game, we can use that muzzle energy for our comparisons. Now, for a handgun, 1,600 foot-pounds is absolutely bonkers. That's the same amount of energy as about 4 rounds of 45 ACP hitting you simultaneously. And since it takes about 2 rounds to the chest on these guys, that's about 3,200 foot-pounds being transferred through the vest and into their torsos. So while most of them would not necessarily be dead, they would most definitely be unconscious from the trauma to their chest so quickly from these rounds. And a little bit later, they could very easily die from a heart arrhythmia or possibly broken ribs penetrating vital organs. But we can say that it is quite realistic that even though it's not likely penetrating their armor, it's just beating up their chest so hard that their body has to shut down and hope for the best. Overall though, I'd say the performance was done, again, very well. This gun is shaping up to be something great. Let's hope the general circumstances can stand up so well. General circumstances. Does it make sense that a Navy SEAL would be using this handgun? Not a chance in hell. This handgun is not suited well to military or law enforcement applications. It's mostly for target shooting for sport, to feel like you're a big manly man because you got a huge handgun, or, more realistically, it can be carried as a defensive sidearm when hunting larger dangerous game like brown bears. It has enough muzzle energy and a large enough projectile that it could pretty easily stop a charging bear. But for military and law enforcement use, it's just a bit way too expensive with very limited applications, and so it's not very conducive to make law enforcement or militaries want to buy it. So they did very well with appearance and performance, but this gun does not belong in this game. For that reason, I'd give the Desert Eagle a 50% realism score. While the gun itself is depicted very well, it would have been way better to include a Mark 25, which is a slightly specialized SIG P226, or if they wanted a unique pistol for the Navy SEALs, a Mark 23 from HK. But I hope you learned something. If you like this sort of content, please like, subscribe, give me a comment down below telling me which game you'd like me to cover next, and maybe even consider becoming a patron of this channel over on Patreon. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.